This may be the rawest, realest message that I've shared to date, but it's a message that must be expressed. It is certainly no secret that we are living in great times of awakening on this planet. And in order for us to raise the consciousness of humanity, in order for us to expand, there are very evolved souls that are incarnating onto Earth at this very time that have specific and unique blueprints and spiritual gifts. And perhaps you are a parent to one of these children, one of these starseed crystalline children, the representation of the human 2.0. These children, they're just different. They're highly evolved, highly sensitive, intuitive, and aware. And they certainly do not fit into any boxes. And in fact, they're here to challenge the very mold of society itself. Yet, oftentimes, these children are misunderstood by our Western medical system, who diagnoses them as autistic, ADD, ADHD, or whatever other label they want to put on them. But the truth is that these children, they're not broken. They are divine messengers, and they are here to teach us a new way. But the biggest problem is that we fear what we don't understand. And in this video, I want to share my personal journey, my journey with my 5-year-old son, who would be labeled in one of these categories as a special needs child. But I will tell you, and I'm going to share with you not only his incarnation story, but my journey thus far with him over the past 5 years and how it's absolutely changed my life and has been one of the greatest initiations in my life. So stay tuned. I want to begin this conversation by talking about something that is often misunderstood and totally false in the New Age and spiritual communities. And that is, not every child with special needs or autism or whatever label we're putting on them is damaged by toxins or the jab. Yes, environmental factors do play a role, absolutely, but we must also honor a deeper truth that many of these souls, they chose to come in this way. They chose a body and brain that functions differently, that might be perceived as neurodivergent, but there are many latent gifts that are buried within that. They chose to experience life through a unique sensory and emotional lens, not as punishment, but a part of their mission. Yet again, because we fear what we don't understand, we want to change or fix them because we feel that there's something wrong. But these souls, they are incredibly powerful, and they chose this to challenge the status quo, to challenge the system and structures that are very limited that we have in place, and ultimately here to break those down and build a new paradigm. These are often old souls who need deep energetic safety in order to express their divine purpose. And so it is our duty, our sacred responsibility, not as just parents, but uncles and aunts and caretakers, to nurture these children, to nurture their gifts, to hold a clean, clear space for them to expand and evolve into their own unique, authentic soul expression. But that requires us as caretakers, as parents, to heal and to go within and to look at our own stuff, to look at our own wounding and trauma that we brought through and incurred through our own childhood experiences. And so we as a society, we must begin to move beyond the fear-based narratives like there's something wrong with my child is broken, they don't fit in, so they need to be fixed. These myths, they dishonor their soul's wisdom. Instead, we must be asking key questions like, what if their sensitivity is actually a superpower? What if their challenges are initiations, not only for them, but also for us? What if their presence is exactly what this world needs? These children are here to completely obliterate and change our perspective, and here to raise us, elevate us into a new way of living, of existing. This is the new consciousness that is coming through right now. And I'm going to share a personal story, something that I actually have not shared publicly. So many years ago in 2014, I met my son's mom, Sarah, who is, whatever label we want to put on. We're no longer in a romantic relationship, but she is like my soul partner. She's my spiritual best friend and someone that I have deep reverence and respect for. And fortunately, we've been on this beautiful growth journey together in this evolution, and we've been on the same page as it pertains to our child, our 5-year-old son. And when we first met, within 2 weeks, she started to have dreams of this child. And that's when I knew that was our mission together. It was to bring this child forth into the world. No questions asked. I felt it on a soul level. And so a few years went by. In fact, 4 years went by. And there was many challenges, many experiences that we went through. And it was 2018. And we both felt this intuitive nudge that this child that we've both had dreams and messages from was ready to come through. And so we went into meditation. We went into meditation with an intention to sit with the potential date of conception for this child, this soul. And so we went into meditation. About 30 minutes later, we emerged. We both brought in pen and paper. We wrote down a date. And we came forth and we sat in a circle together and we revealed the date. We had both written down the same exact date, 12/18/18, December 18th, 2018. This was in May when we had done this. We wrote this down. So at that point, we knew we were on the same channel communicating with this soul. So 2018, or December comes around of 2018, and we conceived the child. First time, we went in with lots of intention and prayed and shared this very sacred space. And within 2 to 3 weeks, we found out that she was pregnant. And in September of 2019, our child was born, and he is such an incredible soul. And I know any parent would say this about their child. And he came in, again, like all of these children, with a very specific blueprint. And something that we began to notice early on were some of the things that he was a little bit different than some of the other children, where he didn't like social interaction. He was very much wanting to be with us. We couldn't even put him down or even bring him to anybody, even of our other family members. He would cry and cry and cry. And as the years went on, we began to notice different things that he was doing, different sensitivities that he had. And we realized that, wow, there is some certain things about him that, we couldn't have predicted, but began to realize through a process of looking at these different texts. And Sarah herself began to notice a lot of the same similar characteristics and qualities about herself and what was happening. And without going into a depth of the story, we had sort of came to the conclusion that not only was he neurodivergent, but he had definitely very strong signs of autism. And not to the point where he was non-communicative, because he was talking before most children. He was walking before most children. He's very healthy in his body. Um, very much what people would perceive to be a neurotypical normal child. But he was also very sensitive. And um, basically, we found out that he was PDA autistic, which is pathological demand avoidance. That's the label that has been placed on it. Not through testing through the Western medical system, but by our own research. And Sarah also perceiving that she was also this expression of neurodivergence and autism. And so as the years went on, we began to notice when things would get too overwhelming for him, he would not only become very overwhelmed, but he would have these intense meltdowns, intense emotional outbursts, and all of these things. And it was very challenging and has been deeply challenging for the both of us. But we began to learn a lot about this need that he had for control and autonomy. And it's so strong in him that if there is a perceived threat where control is put on him, then his nervous system gets so fully activated, he goes into burnout and ultimately into these very intense meltdowns. And so we've had to learn as parents how to nurture this. And we've fortunately found an incredible holistic program that helps to balance the left and right brain hemispheres, not to fix him, but to help him maintain safety in his life. Because the gifts that come through this and through him have been incredible. The photographic memory, the ability, his recall is off the charts. His vocabulary is on a 10-year-old's level. He's an incredibly brilliant kid and also incredibly wise, like all of these children. But as a father, as a parent through this journey, it's been isolating in a lot of ways, because I can't, I'll go to a party or a birthday party with him and he doesn't want to socialize with the other kids. He just wants to be with me or be with Sarah. And so it also has been deeply isolating and challenging on that front, as well as bringing up a lot of my own childhood wounds, and also this deep level of frustration and impatience being provoked within myself. And so this has been a journey of deep mastery, and to be able to hold space for another that is highly sensitive and intuitive like August is. And yes, my son's name is August. My last name is not August. It is Wilson. And a lot of people think my son's name is August, but it is not. It is August Wilson. And I'm Christopher Wilson, but I go by my middle name. It's a little side note. But anyways, what I've realized is that we, as sort of pioneers and trailblazers, which I would consider myself, I certainly do not fit into the mold. I do not agree with a lot of the societal, mold and the societal quo and all of that, the status quo. That is not, I've never agreed with any of the mainstream stuff. I've always sort of been on the edge and always been somewhat of a truth seeker. And so, but this has challenged me even deeper to go into this whole world, which I had never explored in this way. But overall, I am so deeply grateful for this journey. And my son has taught me so much. He has taught me the power of pure presence, because if you are not present with him, he will call you out. And this has just sharpened my sword. It has helped me to show up as a man, as a father, as a human being on this planet with integrity, and to be constantly looking at myself and challenging myself, and not from a place of hate or judgment, but just continuing to refine and to deepen into a greater authentic expression of myself. So if you're someone that is listening to this video and you are raising one of these children, it's because you've been chosen to. You signed a contract. Maybe you forgot. Many of us have. But you've signed a contract with this soul, and this soul has a special contract and mission with you. And so it is your job, again, as a parent, to constantly be looking at your own self, at your shadows, at your own wounds, and challenging yourself to rise above. Not to be hard on yourself, but to really expand, to heal, to transform on the deepest of levels. And they are here, these children are here to evolve us as much as we are here to guide them. This is why they require spaciousness instead of structure. They require listening instead of labeling. They require energetic regulation instead of punishment. And they require deep soul attunement over surface level discipline. It's very easy to go the route that our parents went, disciplining our child and addressing this sort of what seems to be these behavioral issues. But there's something often deeper here that's at play. And I'm going to link some really key resources that are experts in this field, because I'm certainly not an expert. I'm just a parent, someone who's living this experience. But there are people that are writing about all of this and beautiful resources that I've been able to tap into. So I'm going to link them below this video. But the truth is, they are not here to be like us. They are here to remind us of who we truly are. And if this video is triggering you in any way, then I invite you to look deeper within yourself. I invite you to ask yourself, where am I trying to force my child to be normal? What if their differences are sacred? And how can I hold space for their soul's blueprint, even if I don't fully understand it? And anybody that's watching this right now, if you're navigating this journey, if you can relate to what I'm sharing here, you're not alone. But the thing is that you have been initiated into a higher form of parenting, one that's led by presence, not perfection. You're going to make mistakes. I make them all the time, but I'm constantly looking at myself. How can I continuously evolve? How can I continuously grow? And that is just simply our job at the end of the day. These children, they are miracles, and they are here to help birth a new way of living. And it is our job to help nurture that and get out of our own way. So if this video resonated with you, if you feel what I'm putting down here, then share this video with other parents, other teachers, other caregivers. Comment below if you're raising one of these children. I would love to know. And if you want more content on all things self-mastery, spiritual growth, personal transformation, then please subscribe to this channel. I release weekly videos and always grateful to be here, to be sharing, to be expressing, and thank you for receiving. Sending you positive energy and much love. Peace.